In the Supreme Court, division is routine. Each justice brings a unique perspective shaped by years of experience, philosophy, and interpretation of the law. The court is often a battleground of ideas, where passionate debates and sharp disagreements are the norm. Split decisions reflect deep ideological divides, with justices frequently split along lines of political appointment or judicial philosophy. These divisions are a mirror of the nation's own debates, echoing the tensions and complexities of American society. But a unanimous 9-0 ruling is rare, signaling powerful consensus on fundamental law. When all 9 justices agree, it sends a message that transcends politics, a declaration that the issue at hand is not just important, but foundational to the nation's values. On January 12, 2026, the court's decision in Digital Privacy Alliance v. United States was such a moment, a thunderclap that echoed nationwide. News of the ruling spread rapidly, sparking conversations in homes, offices, and online forums across the country. The case didn't arrive with political fanfare, but its impact was profound, touching every American's digital life. From teenagers texting friends to grandparents video calling family, the decision reached into the daily routines of millions, reshaping how people thought about their privacy in the digital age. The court unanimously struck down key provisions of the 2024 Digital Surveillance Act, declaring that privacy rights from the Bill of Rights must be robustly applied to modern technology. The justices recognized that the Constitution's protections are not relics of the past, but living principles that must adapt to new realities, especially as technology becomes ever more entwined with daily life. Federal agencies relying on broad surveillance powers were forced to immediately reassess their practices. Overnight, policies that had been standard for years were called into question, and government officials scrambled to ensure compliance with the new legal landscape. For citizens, the ruling offered a new sense of digital security, backed by the highest court. People felt empowered, knowing that their private messages, photos, and personal data were now shielded by a clear and unanimous mandate from the nation's top legal authority. The verdict's unanimity gave it unassailable authority, making it a landmark for both substance and judicial unity. Legal scholars and commentators hailed the decision as a turning point, not just for privacy law, but for the credibility and moral force of the court itself. In an age of polarization, the court reminded the nation that some principles, like privacy, transcend ideology. The decision became a rare point of agreement, bridging divides and reaffirming the idea that certain rights are universal, regardless of political or personal beliefs. The ruling set a new baseline for digital privacy, forcing a national reconsideration of the balance between security and freedom. As Americans adjusted to this new reality, the decision sparked ongoing debates about technology, liberty, and the enduring promise of the Constitution in a rapidly changing world. The case began with the 2024 Digital Surveillance Act, passed after cyber attacks on national infrastructure. The law gave federal agencies unprecedented authority to collect digital metadata without warrants. The Digital Privacy Alliance, a coalition of civil liberties groups and tech experts, argued this was mass surveillance and a direct violation of the Fourth Amendment. The government relied on the third-party doctrine, claiming people have no privacy in data shared with companies. Tech giants, caught between legal obligations and user trust, supported the DPA, warning the law threatened public trust and competitiveness. The stage was set for a historic Supreme Court showdown over the future of privacy in America. The core question: does warrantless collection of digital metadata violate the Fourth Amendment? The government argued metadata isn't private, just business records shared with third parties, citing old precedents. The DPA countered that aggregated metadata reveals intimate details of a person's life, making the content metadata distinction obsolete. They urged the court to recognize digital footprints as effects deserving the highest protection. The justices had to decide if the Fourth Amendment's core, protection from arbitrary intrusion, could adapt to the digital age. The case forced a redefinition of privacy for a world where our lives are constantly tracked and recorded. The Digital Surveillance Act became law in March 2024. The DPA filed suit within weeks. The district court sided with the government, citing the third-party doctrine. The Ninth Circuit reversed, distinguishing modern metadata collection from past cases and triggering a circuit split. The Supreme Court granted review, recognizing the urgent need for clarity. Oral arguments in October 2025 drew national attention. On January 12, 2026, the court delivered a unanimous verdict for the DPA. The outcome stunned observers expecting division. The ruling struck down the Act's core provisions and set a powerful new precedent for digital privacy. It marked a generational shift in American law. In a landmark decision, the Supreme Court delivered an opinion that will shape the future of privacy in America. Authored by the Chief Justice, the court decisively rejected the long-standing third-party doctrine as a justification for mass metadata collection by the government. This doctrine, which once allowed authorities to access information shared with third parties without a warrant, was deemed outdated and insufficient for the complexities of the digital era. The justices explained that the third-party doctrine, created decades ago in a world of landlines and paper records, cannot justify the sweeping and intrusive surveillance enabled by today's technology. They recognize that digital data is fundamentally different, both in scale and in the intimate details it can reveal about a person's life. The court held that when the government collects and aggregates metadata, it constructs a detailed digital mosaic of an individual's private life. This mosaic, they ruled, is entitled to constitutional protection under the Fourth Amendment, which guards against unreasonable searches and seizures. The opinion made it clear, simply participating in modern society, using a smartphone, sending messages, or accessing the internet should not mean that Americans must forfeit their Fourth Amendment rights. Privacy, the court emphasized, is not a relic of the past, but a vital safeguard in the digital present. In a major departure from previous precedent, the court found that the Act's broad data collection constituted a search that requires a warrant. This ruling sets a new standard, ensuring that law enforcement must demonstrate probable cause before accessing such sensitive information. The justices stressed that both the sheer volume and the deeply personal nature of modern digital data demand stronger legal protections than ever before. They acknowledged that technology has changed the landscape of privacy, and the law must evolve to keep pace. The ruling drew a clear and unwavering line. Technological progress, no matter how rapid or transformative, cannot be allowed to erode the fundamental right to be free from pervasive government surveillance. The court's message was resolute. Privacy must be preserved even as society advances. The unity of the court in this decision reflected a shared and profound commitment to protecting citizens from arbitrary government power in the digital age. Their collective stance signals a new era, where constitutional rights are reaffirmed and adapted to meet the challenges of modern technology. The Supreme Court's landmark decision sent immediate shockwaves through the legal landscape, fundamentally transforming the way privacy law is understood in the digital age. For the first time, the court established a new, robust test for digital searches, recognizing that the nature of personal data has changed dramatically with technology. No longer is privacy confined to physical spaces or tangible objects. Now, the digital realm is front and center in constitutional debates. The court's innovative digital mosaic theory means that even if individual data points, like location pings or call logs, seem harmless or non-private on their own, when they are aggregated, they can reveal intimate details about a person's life. This aggregation creates a protected sphere, recognizing that the sum of digital information is far more revealing than its parts. Before this pivotal ruling, law enforcement agencies could routinely obtain digital metadata with just a subpoena, bypassing the higher standard of probable cause. Now, for any significant collection of digital metadata, a warrant is required, ensuring judicial oversight and greater protection for individuals. This represents a seismic shift in constitutional law, elevating the status of aggregated digital metadata to the highest level of protection under the Fourth Amendment. The court has made it clear, digital information deserves the same respect as physical privacy. The ruling compels a sweeping re-evaluation of all government surveillance programs that rely on bulk data collection. Agencies must now reconsider their methods, as practices once considered routine may now be unconstitutional. Both state and federal agencies are now on notice. Their ability to track and analyze digital footprints is sharply limited. Every step in the digital world is now subject to stricter scrutiny and legal safeguards. In effect, the decision imports the traditional privacy of the home into the digital sphere, expanding the reach of the Fourth Amendment. Our online lives, communications, and data are now shielded in ways never before recognized by the courts. Ultimately, this ruling redefines the balance of power between individuals and the state in the digital era, ensuring that constitutional protections keep pace with technological change, and reaffirming the fundamental right to privacy in a connected world. The ruling was a powerful check on federal surveillance authority, limiting Congress's reach in the name of national security. With the federal law struck down, states now have more room to legislate on digital privacy. The Supreme Court set a constitutional floor, not a ceiling. States can enact even stronger protections. State and local law enforcement must also revise their surveillance practices to comply with the new standard. The decision rebalances power in favor of individual liberty, constraining government at all levels. It doesn't pit federal against state authority, but elevates constitutional rights above both. The ruling reaffirms that neither level of government can use technology to erode fundamental rights. This decision is the culmination of decades of Fourth Amendment evolution. The court re-examined the third-party doctrine, which once justified warrantless access to records held by companies. Rather than overturning old cases, the court declared their logic inapplicable to today's digital realities. Building on Carpenter versus United States, the court expanded protection from specific data types to the entire digital mosaic of a person's life. The ruling echoes Katz versus United States, reaffirming that the Fourth Amendment protects people, not just places. The court recognized that privacy now exists in the streams of data we generate daily. By protecting this digital self, the court ensured Katz's principle of personal autonomy remains vital. The decision adapts timeless privacy principles to the realities of the digital age. The Supreme Court's unanimous decision marks a watershed in American law. By striking down the 2024 Digital Surveillance Act, the court recalibrated the balance between security and liberty. The new precedent, warrantless bulk collection of digital metadata, is an unreasonable search. The ruling shields the digital mosaic of modern life from suspicionless government intrusion. It imposes a major check on federal surveillance and invites states to innovate with stronger privacy laws. For Americans, it affirms that modern life doesn't require surrendering privacy rights. The decision opens new questions for courts as technology evolves: AI, IoT, biometrics, and sets a model for future judicial unity. The next chapter in digital privacy will be written as new challenges arise, guided by this landmark ruling.